Hey, uh, now this is going to be a commentary for chapter 21 of my book Metadimensional, which you can read on Kindle or listen to as an audiobook on Google Play. Links are in the description. So, chapter 21 is called Ontology of Semantics. So, I'm not going to repeat what I argued in the previous video or in the previous chapter, but I'll just recap to where it landed. It landed in understanding that this thing called the experiential scape, that is the landscape of experience that we all share. And now, the interesting thing about it in this context, in the context of this chapter, is the idea that the same way that I am the same person moment to moment, like I associate the same semantics with the same things that I perceive moment to moment, even though I change my body space, even though I change my objective substrate, even though I change the reality I reflect on, even though I change it, I still understand it the same way. What does that mean? It means that there is a persistence of the semantics by which I understand, by which my dimension of experience, my experiential scape, understands the objective substrate. Now, the thing is that if you go back to my arguments from the previous chapter, you'd understand that the only difference between you and me, or a dog and me, insofar as a dog is an experiential agent, or a baby and me, is that we reflect on a different objective substrate. Like the same experience is in both of us, in all of us. But the difference is just that each reflects on a different objective substrate. Each reflects on a different body space. But the fact that moment to moment I retain the semantics means that we all retain the semantics, because the only thing that binds the like if it wasn't the case that we all share the semantics, like understanding how, let's say, a roundness feels like, how happiness feels like, how sadness feels like, how being on top of something feels like, how long feels like, how blue feels like. If we didn't share the same semantics, then what would happen is that every moment, our entire perceptual field would change radically, because the changing a body space would incur a complete reorganization of semantics. But that doesn't happen. So if it doesn't happen in me moment to moment, it won't happen with you either. But now the thing that's interesting about this is that there's so much intelligence embedded in that semantic context that we share. Like, think about it this way: how difficult or how taxing or complicated it is to explain to a computer what redness is, and what roundness is, and what love is, and what happiness is, and what all this stuff that an artificial intelligence, if we wanted to mimic the behavior of an experiential agent, we would have to encode it somehow. But when you are an experiential agent that interacts with an already intelligent experiential agent, you necessarily share their experiential scape. And it is only if the body that other experiential agent is very insistent on making it impossible for that other experiential agent to understand your semantics, then they will understand that semantics as well. Like, for example, babies. when the brain is not really trained yet to do anything, that is when they have enough intellectual capacity to learn a language, something that is so difficult for me today, because my body constrains my experience to only a small portion of the experiential scape. I cannot understand the same, like I cannot understand as many things as a baby can. So what you get is that you have this this access to experiential scape is an access to intelligence. Now, so this is interesting in itself when you're talking about artificial intelligence, and it's actually not a new idea. If you know anything about Noam Chomsky's, he mentioned something about universal grammar. It seems to be he seems to be talking about this, even though he had no idea that this is what anything about body spaces or the experiential scape. But there's an even greater implication for artificial intelligence. So one thing that an idea that is quite common today is that the idea that of the singularity, the idea that computers or artificial intelligence will become much more intelligent than us. But so when you understand this ontology of semantics, you understand something else. Look, artificial intelligence is something that exists in the wakeful world. It exists only as a perception, and if it's not perceived, then it doesn't exist. So the same applies to the intelligence it exhibits. The intelligence that artificial intelligence shows, it is intelligent only insofar as experiential agents understand it is intelligent or understand its intelligence. If they don't understand its intelligence, then the behaviors that this artificial intelligence will display will look random or non-existent, like looking at a rock, doing like the atoms in a rock and not seeing any intelligence there either. And the thing is, if there's nothing that it's like to be that artificial intelligence, then that intelligence simply doesn't exist. And if there is something that is like to be that intelligence, by the fact that artificial intelligence, by the fact that artificial intelligence is interacting with us, it necessarily means that it is sharing our experiential scape, which means that we have access, all of us, all experiential agents, from the smartest to the dumbest human to a dumbest animal that has something experiential about it, has the same intelligence as the most intelligent artificial intelligence you can that can ever exist, insofar as it's an experiential agent. And if it's not an experiential agent, then it has no intelligence whatsoever. And if no experiential agent can identify that their intelligence, then there's no intelligence there. So what this means is that we are, you, me. Our potential for understanding is the upper bound of intelligence. There's nothing above what we can understand, so long as our bodies won't prevent us from realizing that intellectual capacity or potential. Yeah, it just follows from the axiom, I guess.